When I first met Miranda, I thought we had it all figured out. We met in our late 20s at a local art exhibit in Chicago, bonded over our love for music and painting, and quickly decided to merge our lives. By the time we welcomed our two kids, Henry and Lily, I genuinely believed we were building something unshakable: a family, a home, a life stitched together with love and shared dreams. At first, the cracks were subtle: more late nights at work, text messages she hid behind her laptop screen, and an increasing emotional distance I chalked up to exhaustion or the pressures of raising two kids while trying to sustain a career. I wanted to trust her, wanted to believe that marriage meant fighting through moments of stress together. But the truth came crashing down in the most devastating way imaginable. I caught her in a lie about an overnight business trip. At first, I tried to rationalize it, even laughed nervously, telling myself it wasn't a big deal. But when I noticed the pattern, the unexplained lipstick stains, the hushed phone calls, my stomach twisted with dread. And then, one rainy Thursday afternoon, she confessed. It wasn't just a fleeting mistake. She had been seeing someone else, a man who, in her words, could give her a life she felt she deserved, someone who made her feel alive in a way I apparently never could. Henry, then 15, overheard our argument. I'll never forget how he stormed out, slamming the door so hard the house shook. Lily, 12, clung to me, trembling and asking why mom didn't love us anymore. How do you explain that someone you trusted and adored could abandon not only you, but the people who rely on her most? There were no words strong enough to fill that void. The divorce followed swiftly. Miranda moved out with little fanfare, leaving Henry and Lily in my care. At first, I naively thought she would at least try to maintain a relationship, that she might call, send letters, show up at the kids' soccer games or school recitals. But instead, she disappeared into her new life, frequenting expensive restaurants, traveling, flaunting a freedom built on the ruins she left behind. Months passed. We settled into a rhythm: school mornings, homework battles, bedtime stories, weekend errands. Exhausting, relentless, but ours. And slowly, Henry and Lily grew harder, more wary. They refused her calls, ignored her messages, and outright blocked her on social media. Henry's words cut deeper than any of hers ever could. If mom wanted us, she'd be here. She chose someone else instead. Lily didn't argue. She simply withdrew, holding tight to routines that made sense, to me, her constant. Then came the first overt attempt at reconciliation. A box arrived on our porch: designer sneakers for Henry, a tablet for Lily, and a handwritten note saying, "I hope this can start to make things right." Henry tossed the shoes onto the sofa, eyes blazing. "You think gadgets fix everything?" he said. Lily shook her head, silent but unimpressed. I watched them refuse her gestures with quiet pride. It hurt to see the betrayal, but it was also empowering. They understood, in their own way, that love couldn't be bought back with gifts or empty words. I silently vowed that no matter what Miranda tried next, I would protect their hearts and guide them to see the value of self-respect over convenience. That night, after tucking them in, I sat alone in the kitchen, staring at the empty living room. Anger, sorrow, and a fierce protective love churned inside me. I had no answers for why someone could hurt a family so thoroughly, but I had Henry and Lily, and that would have to be enough for now. The following weeks were quiet, deceptively calm. I thought maybe Miranda had realized she couldn't buy our family back so easily. But then, one Friday morning, a sleek black SUV rolled up the driveway. She stepped out, perfectly dressed, sunglasses perched on her nose, carrying a gift bag so large it nearly obscured her smug. She had brought Henry and Lily surprises, she said, as though material things could erase months of absence. Henry's eyes narrowed the instant he saw her. "You again?" he muttered, barely concealing his fury. Lily didn't look up from her sketchbook. Her pencil scratched the page harder, but her silence spoke volumes. I let her choose her response, as I always did. The last thing I wanted was to force a confrontation she wasn't ready for. "Come on," Miranda cooed, setting the bag on the kitchen counter. "I just want to spend some time with you two. It's been too long." Henry scoffed. "Too long? You mean the amount of time it took you to find someone with money and forget us?" Her smile faltered for a brief second, but she quickly recovered. That's not fair. I just want to make things right. I have new things for you, special things. Lily finally looked up, her voice quiet but sharp. Special things don't fix broken promises. Her words hung in the air like a judgment. Miranda shifted uncomfortably, as if this was a new kind of battlefield she hadn't anticipated. She picked up the sneakers for Henry and held them out like an offering. I thought you'd like these. Henry didn't flinch. I don't like empty gestures, he said, placing them back in the bag without touching them. Lily quietly slid her tablet toward the edge of the counter, as if the world could swallow it before it reached her hands. I stepped in before the tension escalated further. Henry, Lily, it's up to you, but don't let anyone pressure you. Miranda's patience snapped. You're all being ridiculous. I'm their mother, and you're turning them against me. I met her gaze steadily. Your actions did that, not me. You left. You chose someone else. And you're only now trying to step back into our lives with gifts and excuses. They're smart enough to see through it. Her voice rose. You don't understand. I'm trying to... No, I said, cutting her off. You're trying to smooth your guilt. That's not the same as trying to repair a relationship. Gifts don't replace trust. You want them back? You earn it. You don't get to demand it because it's convenient for you. For a moment, she just stared, stunned. The words she never wanted to hear had landed squarely in her face. Henry and Lily, meanwhile, relaxed fractionally, leaning into the truth they already knew. Love and loyalty can't be bought, and their father was the only constant in their lives. Later that evening, after Miranda had left, Henry slammed his door. I knocked gently. Everything okay? He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. Yeah, I just hate that she thinks she can waltz in with stuff and make it all okay. I know, I said, placing a hand on his shoulder. It's infuriating, but you're handling it exactly right. She can't dictate how you feel. You're allowed to be angry. Lily appeared behind him, holding her sketchbook like a shield. I don't want her gifts, Dad. I want her to mean it, if she ever really meant it. I nodded, feeling the weight of their words settle in my chest. They were learning the hard way that boundaries matter, that moral courage isn't about being polite, it's about protecting yourself and what's right. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't just raising children, I was helping them navigate betrayal, heartbreak, and the strength it takes to stand firm. That night, after tucking them in, I sat alone at the kitchen table, the empty gift bag from Miranda still sitting where she left it. The world felt heavy, but for the first time in months, I felt a strange sense of calm. We were standing together, against someone who had tried to tear us apart, and we weren't broken. Not yet. Over the next few weeks, Miranda's attempts at re-entering our lives escalated in ways I hadn't anticipated. It started subtly, tagged photos on social media, captions about missing my family and rebuilding bonds, all carefully designed to make it seem like she cared. I didn't block her yet. I wanted the kids to see reality, not a sanitized version. But Henry and Lily refused to engage. They weren't fooled. Then she started texting again. Long, emotional messages dripping with guilt and promises. I can make this right. I want to take you out to your favorite restaurant, just like old times. You'll see I've changed. I ignored most of them. The few times I glanced, I could see Henry seething at my side. Why does she think gifts or dinners can fix this? He muttered one evening, slamming his phone down. Lily, who was drawing in her sketchbook, added quietly, she left us. That's not a mistake you can fix with a toy or a meal. One Saturday, the escalation hit a new level. Miranda showed up at our local park with balloons, an expensive picnic basket, and even a hired face painter for the kids. I wasn't home yet, but Henry had texted me frantic updates. Dad, she's here. She brought clowns. She's trying to make it like nothing happened. I arrived moments later, pulling into the parking lot, and immediately felt the tension crackle in the air. Henry stood rigid, arms crossed. Lily clutched her backpack like armor. Miranda, dressed like she had stepped out of a magazine, waved cheerfully and called out, "Surprise! Come on, let's have fun!" Henry didn't move. Lily didn't budge.
I stepped forward, placing myself subtly between them and her. "No," I said firmly. "This isn't about fun. This is about respect and boundaries. You don't get to create an event to erase months of absence."
Miranda's smile faltered for a split second, then hardened. "You're poisoning them. You're turning them against me." I held her gaze, calm but unyielding. "No, they're responding to your actions. You left. You abandoned them. Gifts don't erase that. You're not entitled to their affection. They're allowed to feel hurt, and you're allowed to accept it." Henry finally spoke, his voice steady but cutting. "We're not mad because Dad told us to be. We're mad because you left, and we don't have to forgive that just because you have money now." Lily's voice trembled slightly but was unwavering. "I don't want you to buy my love. I want someone who actually cares enough to stay." I watched Miranda stumble for a response. She opened her mouth, closed it, and finally muttered something about trying harder. But Henry shook his head. "Trying harder after the fact doesn't count. You weren't here. You chose someone else." Miranda's face went pale. The face painter and balloons seemed absurdly out of place now, like props in a play that had no audience. She muttered something about needing to go, and I didn't stop her. The kids had already made their point clear. She could parade every distraction, gift, or grand gesture she wanted, but she couldn't undo what had been done. That evening, we sat together in the living room, the remnants of her picnic untouched in the trash outside. Henry leaned back in his chair, arms still crossed. "It's like she doesn't get it," he said. "She doesn't," I admitted. "Some people think money and gestures can fix everything, but some things can't be fixed that way. You two are smart enough to see the difference." Lily finally smiled faintly, resting her head on my shoulder. "I'm glad you're here, Dad. At least you didn't leave." I held them both close. In that moment, despite the betrayal, the manipulation, and the exhaustion, I realized we were surviving. Not because we had a perfect life, but because we had each other, and nothing she could buy or stage could take that away. A few weeks later, the next wave of Miranda's attempts landed like a storm we weren't prepared for. This time, she wasn't alone. Her new partner, tall, charming, dripping with confidence, and her sister, someone I barely knew, showed up unannounced at our house. I was making dinner when Henry ran to the door, eyes wide. "Dad, they're here," he muttered, voice tight with irritation. I sighed, setting the knife down. "All right, let's handle this carefully." Miranda beamed as if nothing had happened. "I thought we could all talk, maybe start fresh," she said. Her partner waved politely, and her sister followed with a tight-lipped smile. But Henry and Lily froze at the doorway. They didn't move, they didn't answer. "You kids don't have to speak if you don't want to," I said quietly, stepping forward. "But everyone else, calm down. This isn't the time to lecture or manipulate." Her partner tried a smooth tone. "We just want what's best for the kids." Henry's eyes narrowed. "You mean what's best for you two, right?" His words cut sharper than any knife. "You didn't think about us when Mom left. Why start now?" Lily, usually reserved, finally spoke up, her voice trembling but steady. "I don't need anyone who abandons their family to tell me what's best for me." Miranda's smile faltered. She opened her mouth, then closed it, muttering something about trying to make up for lost time. Her sister stepped forward, trying to lecture the kids about respect and family values. I didn't hesitate. "Back off. You have no right to lecture them. This is about their lives, not your image. They don't need anyone telling them how to feel about someone who left them." Miranda's partner cleared his throat, trying to regain control of the conversation. "We just want to—" "No," I said firmly. "You want compliance. They want honesty. Big difference. And if you can't respect that, you have no business here." Henry stepped forward, tall for his age, and pointed at Miranda. "I'm done with your excuses, done with your gifts, your stories, your apologies that mean nothing. We're done." Lily stood beside him, her small hand clutching mine.
We're not interested in anything you have to offer anymore. Not money, not attention, not stories. Miranda's face was pale, eyes wide, as if she hadn't expected the kids to speak with such courage. She sputtered, "You're being cruel. I'm your mother." "You were our mother," Henry said calmly, "but not anymore. Actions define people, not titles." Her partner's jaw tightened, realizing the situation was spiraling beyond their control. Miranda tried to grab Henry's shoulder, but I stepped in between, steady and unwavering. "Hands off," I said. "This isn't yours to take."
They left shortly after, muttering under their breath, but the point had been made. Henry and Lily had stood their ground, and I had stood with them. That night, after dinner, Henry leaned back, exhausted but proud. "It's like they finally get it, Dad. They can't manipulate us." Lily nodded, resting her head on my shoulder. "Thanks for standing up for us." I felt a deep ache mixed with pride. This battle wasn't over. There would be more attempts, more manipulations, and more moments when they would need me to protect their hearts. But we had survived this storm, together, and for now, that was enough. A few days later, Miranda tried a new tactic. She sent a lawyer's letter claiming visitation rights and emotional neglect. Henry showed me the envelope, hands shaking. Lily clutched her sketchbook like a shield. "She can't do this," Henry said. "She left us, Dad. Why now?" I calmed them both. "We'll handle it carefully, but the kids' feelings matter more than her demands." When Miranda arrived at the lawyer's suggested meeting, I brought the kids along, not as pawns, but as witnesses to their own voice. She tried to smile, hold hands, offer gifts, but Henry stood tall. "I don't owe you anything," he said. Lily's voice was quiet but firm. "We're not afraid to say no." Miranda's lawyer interjected, pushing for compromise. I cut him off. "My children are not objects in a negotiation. Their consent, trust, and safety are not for sale." Miranda's face reddened. She tried guilt, reminding the kids of memories, vacations, promises, but they weren't swayed. Henry's eyes, usually sarcastic, burned with clarity. "We remember the nights you weren't there. We're not blind. You left." The lawyer muttered about emotional manipulation and parenting plans, but I stood my ground. Actions define a parent, not the title. They're not obligated to forgive, and no law can force emotional trust. By the end, Miranda stormed out, frustrated. She realized her strategies, gifts, guilt, lawyers had no effect. Henry and Lily looked exhausted but proud. Lily whispered, "I think they finally get it, Dad. We're serious." I held them close, feeling a mix of relief and exhaustion. The legal threats were intimidating, but nothing could undermine the truth. Our family wasn't defined by someone who abandoned it. We had each other, our boundaries, and our strength. And that, I realized, was worth more than anything Miranda or anyone could try to buy. After the lawyer incident, we finally had a quiet week, or as quiet as life with two teenagers could be. The tension from Miranda's visits lingered like smoke, but Henry and Lily seemed calmer, more confident in their refusal to bend. I watched them reclaim small routines, cooking dinner together, debating music playlists, laughing at inside jokes. Moments like this reminded me that stability isn't about perfection, it's about showing up consistently. Then came the social media storm. Miranda posted a series of photos, her new life, lavish vacations, smiling with friends and her partner. Henry slammed his laptop shut. She's trying again, public this time. She wants everyone to see she's a good mom. I sat beside him. She wants validation, not reconciliation. Ignore it. You don't owe her reactions. Lily, normally quiet, added, I don't even want to see it. She can't make me care. A few days later, she showed up at the school parking lot, unannounced, with a bouquet of flowers and a camera. She wanted a photo of the kids with her, smiling. I approached calmly, making sure Henry and Lily were aware of her presence. She's trying to manipulate us, Henry muttered. I nodded. Exactly, and we're not letting her. Miranda approached, trying to be charming.
Let's just take a picture for old time's sake. I promise it'll be quick. Henry crossed his arms. No, that's not what we want. We're not playing pretend. Lily's gaze was unwavering. We're not smiling for someone who abandoned us. We're not lying to make her happy. I stepped forward, placing a hand on each of their shoulders. You're not wrong for feeling this way. You have a right to set boundaries, and will enforce them. Miranda hesitated, frustration flickering across her face. She had no gifts, no manipulations left. For the first time, I saw genuine defeat. She muttered something about being a mother, but the words lacked power. She had no leverage.
That night, as we drove home, Henry broke the silence. I feel lighter, like we finally told her what we mean, and she can't argue anymore. Lily rested her head against my shoulder. I'm tired of pretending. I just want us to be safe. I smiled softly, swallowing my own exhaustion. We are, and we'll keep being safe, together. For the first time in years, I felt a sense of closure, not for forgiveness, not for Miranda's sake, but for ours. We had survived betrayal, manipulation, and the constant testing of boundaries, and now our family, just the three of us, was beginning to heal. The weeks that followed were quieter than anything we'd experienced since Miranda left. No more unannounced visits, no gifts, no messages demanding attention. The kids and I settled into a rhythm that felt like ours alone. Homework on the kitchen table, Saturday morning pancakes, evenings crowded with music, laughter, and debates over who got control of the TV remote. Ordinary life, but ordinary, felt like victory after the storm. Henry started inviting friends over, showing more of his humor and warmth. Lily's sketches filled the living room, colors and shapes that mirrored her mood, bright, bold, alive. I watched them and felt a swell of pride. They had faced betrayal and manipulation, yet here they were, choosing love, trust, and safety over anger or resentment. One evening, after tucking them in, I sat at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee, reflecting. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the floorboards. I thought about the months of struggle, the arguments, the gifts, the lawyer letters, the social media posts, the clumsy attempts at reconciliation. All of it had been an effort to force what couldn't be forced, genuine connection. I realized something important. Miranda's absence had been painful, yes, but it had also taught us resilience. Henry and Lily had learned that boundaries matter, that love cannot be bought, and that standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. I had learned that being present, consistent, and honest is more powerful than any apology or shiny gesture. The next morning, Henry and Lily came into the kitchen early, still sleepy but smiling. Henry held up a small note he'd written for me. "Thanks, Dad," it said, "for everything, for staying, for not letting her make us doubt ourselves." Lily hugged me tight. "I love our family," she whispered. "Just us." I hugged them both back, feeling a quiet sense of triumph. Not over Miranda, not even over the past, but over the fear that our family could be broken permanently. We had survived, and we were stronger for it. Later, as I sat on the porch, sipping coffee and listening to the birds, I thought about the future. It wouldn't be perfect, and there would be reminders of what we'd lost, but we had something better than perfection: trust, love, and stability. Miranda's attempts to manipulate, guilt, and buy affection were over. The kids and I had drawn our boundaries clearly, and for the first time, I felt completely certain that nothing or no one could shake us. We were a family, whole in the ways that mattered most, and that was more than enough. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.